Hello, Harbor City Church and the friends of HCC who's tuning in. Thank you for letting me visit you like this and share with you from the Word of God the things that have been really encouraging and helpful for me, wishing and hoping that it'll be encouraging and helpful for you as well. We are reading through 1 Thessalonians these days in our community Bible reading schedule, and I'd like to share with you particularly from chapter 2. I'm going to read verses 1 through 8. It says, "For you yourselves know, brothers, that our coming to you was not in vain. But though we had already suffered and been shamefully treated at Philippi, as you know, we had boldness in our God to declare to you the gospel of God in the midst of much conflict. For our appeal does not spring from error or impurity or any attempt to deceive, but just as we have been approved by God to be entrusted with the gospel, so we speak, not to please men, but to please God, who tests our hearts. For we never came with words of flattery, as you know, nor with a pretext for greed. God is witness. Nor did we seek glory from people, whether from you or from others, though we could have made demands as apostles of Christ. But we were gentle among you, like a nursing mother taking care of her own children. For being affectionately desirous of you, we were ready to share with you not only the gospel of God, but also our own selves, because you had become very dear to us." I want to go back to the earlier portion here, starting with verse 2 especially, because Paul reminds us that he continued with the gospel life and ministry in the midst of much conflict. And much conflict is really all around us these days, and that's something that we have to live through, and through it share the gospel as well. If I may share something with you that may be a bit of a prayer request as well. My sister, some of you know, is a police officer with the LAPD, and the hard thing for her and her colleagues nowadays is that, especially when she goes on social media, there are those that she knows, those who are even friends, that are posting really unkind things on social media, and even maybe wishing violence upon them. But in the midst of it all, or through it all, they still have to serve the community that they have vowed to serve. How would you deal with a situation like that? And even if it's not that particular situation, how do you continue to live out the gospel and share the gospel in the midst of people who see things differently from you and who are at odds, where there may be even conflicts? Well, King David was quite familiar himself with these things, and he says in Psalm 55, this in verses 12 and 14, he said, "For it is not an enemy who taunts me, then I could bear it. It is not an adversary who deals insolently with me, then I could hide from him. But it is you, a man, my equal, my companion, my familiar friend." That's hard. Job has lots of similar things to say, but in chapter 19, verse 19, he says, "My close friends detest me. Those I love have turned against me." Well, Paul has this to advise. He says he keeps in mind that the gospel, life, and communication is not to please men, but to please God. And this is why he doesn't dress it up with flattery. He doesn't make side demands, but he stays focused. But he mentions that he was gentle among those that he was living out this gospel, that he was trying to share this gospel with. He ends the section in verse 8 by saying he desires not only to share the gospel, but also of himself, because people around him have become very dear. I think that's really the secret, to be able to live gently and humbly among people and continue to exercise this transcendent love of Christ that he's given us. Not for condition, not of people agreeing with us, but because Christ loved us and died for us. So I hope that's been encouraging for you. Hope you will continue to be faithful in your walk with God, and then also this Sunday that you'll tune in. In fact, this Sunday we are closing out our 1 Corinthians series. So hope you tune in for that, but also I'll be announcing what the next series will be. We're not going to jump straight into 2 Corinthians series, but there will be something else, and you're going to have to tune in this Sunday to find out what that is. Well, hope you're encouraged by the focus that Paul had for the gospel, and hope that would be something that you desire to emulate. Bye for now. Have a great week.